Hello everyone, welcome back. We are continuing. So, today's story is titled as In the Beginning. So, Vidura went to the banks of river Ganga where sage Maitreya had his ashram. He went there and after saluting, he told about his meeting with Uddhava and how he had asked him to go to sage Maitreya to learn Brahma Vidya. And Vidura also said that it was Lord Krishna's wish that I learn it from you. So Rishi Maitreya said, I am happy you have come to me. Tell me what is troubling you, and I will try to clear your doubts. So Vidura said, O wise one, I've lived in this world for so many years, and I have met and lived with so many good people, so many bad people. And what I've found is that there is one thing that is in common with all these people is that they all live for happiness. There's one driving force, which is happiness. But still, there is so much sorrow in this world. Is there no way of avoiding sorrow from this world, the pain that is created with all the desires, etc., in this world? What should man do in order to avoid pain, the pain which results from his actions? And then he says that people like you, my lord, who have been devotees of Narayana, are in this world with only one purpose: to lead the erring humanity towards God, to tell them the story of the Lord, of His glory, and lead them in the path of the devotion. Please teach me, and through me, teach the world in general the path to God. We have great pleasure in listening to the story. The great Vyasa taught us the Mahabharata. In relating the story to us, he taught man about the rules of conduct through Mahabharata. Vyasa had taught us the attachment to things of the world leads but to pain, and he has taught us the many nuances of dharma. But we want more. We want to drink in the praises of Lord Narayana. Please relate to me the story of the many avatars of Lord Narayana. Tell me about the many acts which he has performed, as a result of which the world has been purified again and again. Maitreya smiled and he appreciated him. He said, the kind of questions that you're asking me makes me feel like you are the incarnation of Dharma. I am very pleased with you, he said. I will be only too happy to relate to you the entire story of the Lord. I will begin from where it all began. That's why the name of this chapter or this story is In the Beginning. So here's the story. It starts from here. It was after the great deluge. The earth was submerged completely in waters. Narayana was absorbed in Yoga Nindra after the Mahapralaya, which is the huge disaster. Lord Narayana was in Yoga Nidra, means he was sleeping for years and years. He was in a deep form of meditation. Lord Narayana was reclining on the great serpent Adi Shesha, and the entire universe was withdrawn in him. It was dormant. There was no action happening in the universe whatsoever. The three gunas, the Rajas, Tamas, and the Sattva guna, were all in equilibrium. There was absolutely no action. But then came the time, Kala, which created disturbance in the three gunas. And the balance got upset. And when the imbalance was created, when there is imbalance, there has to be a reaction. To every action, there is equal and opposite reaction according to Newton's law. Until now, there was no action, but now there was an action of creating an imbalance in the equilibrium of the three gunas. So the reaction was that from Lord Narayana's navel came out a thin stalk, which then became a lotus and illuminated everything around it. It became a huge lotus. And in the lotus took birth a form of Lord Narayana. Guess which Lord sits on the lotus? Brahma. So it was Brahma who was in the lotus. But then when he looked around, he thought he was born out of himself and he was alone. All he saw was ocean. He noticed that he had 4 heads and he could look in all directions, and all he saw was just water. So he didn't know what to do. But the Lord being, the divine self being, he felt like the waves of the ocean, the noise that they were making, said to him, Tapa, 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 which means he thought that the ocean is telling him to perform tapas, penance. So he performed penance and he went in meditation for years together, like hundreds of years. And then in his meditation, after hundreds of years, he saw the form of Lord Narayana and he realized the God. And that's when Lord Narayana appeared in front of him and gave him the task of creating this world. So Brahma, as we all know, is the creator. Lord Narayana is the sustainer. And we'll talk about Lord Shiva later. He hasn't entered in the picture yet. But he is the destroyer, Lord Shiva. So, coming back. Now, Brahma was given the work to create the world again. So Brahma said, so be it. And he started creating the world. So first thing that happened was, out of his mind were born 4 rishis, and they were by the name of Rishi Sanak, Sanatan, Sanand, and Sanat Kumar. When they were born, Brahma said, take up the work of creation and multiply. But the 4 rishis refused to do so. They were bent on attaining the feet of Lord Narayana. So Brahma got very, very angry and he tried to control his anger. But in that, he did not speak anything out of anger, but the anger was there in his head. So from his head, his anger took a form of a child who was reddish blue in color, and he was crying when he took birth. So Brahma, because he was crying at his birth, named him as Rudra. So Rudra asked Brahma, where should I go and stay? So Brahma designated him places such as the heart, the senses, the life, the sky, air, fire, water, the earth, the sun, the moon, and the tapas. These are the places that were assigned to Rudra. Now you can go and produce many in your image, said Brahma to the child Rudra. Brahma then created 10 sons out of his body, and they were named, you all might be familiar with these names. This is Rishi Atri, Angiras, Pulastya, Pulaha, Kratu, Brigu, Daksha, Marichi, Vasishtha, and Narada. These are the 10 sons of Brahma. Dharma and Adharma were also born of Brahma. Out of his heart was born desire, and out of his brows was born anger. His shadow took a form, and this son was named as Karadam. From his mind and body was created this entire world. Out of his 4 faces were born the 4 Vedas. The 4 Vedas are the Rig Ved, Yajurved, Atharva Ved, and Samved. These are the 4 Vedas that are born out of his 4 faces. Brahma then divided his body into two. One was a male and one was a female. The male was called Swayambhu Manu and the female was called Shatarupa. Now the first male Swayambhu Manu and the first female Shatarupa, they too produced 5 children, and 3 were daughters, Akuti, Prasuti and Devahuti. The sons were Priyavrata and Uttanpada. Akuti was married to a rishi by name Ruchi. Devahuti was married to Karadam and Prasuti was married to Daksha. You all might be very familiar with Prasuti and Daksha from the recent stories of Mahadev that were telecasted on an Indian television show, which is absolutely amazing show. If you all have not watched it, I recommend you watch it. So this all people who were married, the 3 daughters who were married with the rishis, they were the ones whose children went on to populate this world that has a population of 7 or 8 billion today. So this was the first story about how everything on this earth began, or in this world began. So stay tuned for next stories. It just gets exciting from here. There are so many exciting stories coming up. So I'll see you all next time. Until then, Jai Shri Krishna.